Hello and welcome to the first Wisdom Wednesday. And this week we're going to talk about something I call We Are What We Consume. And this is just based off of a favorite quote of mine from a really cool book that I read a while ago when I was traveling in Colombia called Education of a Wandering Man by Louis L'Amour. I also really loved reading Louis L'Amour's books when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, specifically because they were favorites of my dad, and I really grew up wanting to be Roy Rogers and pretending the back of our couch was a horse, and I had a six-shooter and a cowboy hat, my dad's cowboy hat, that made me feel really cool. So I liked Louis L'Amour's books, at least some of them that I read when I was a teenager. And I saw his book talked about on some digital Nomad type forums. Apparently, he had a really interesting life. And so I read it when I was doing some nomading myself down in Colombia, and I really loved it. Again, the book is really cool. Louis L'Amour did live a very interesting life before he became a very successful writer. He traveled the world basically, but not from a place of luxury. He traveled the world working odd jobs here and there. He worked for a while on a ship. He was a boxer, I believe. I also sometimes get his story confused with Stephen Pressfield, I think, of The War of Art. So if I confuse them, I'm sorry. They somewhat seem similar to me. Anyways, it's a great book, whether my memory can be trusted or not. I do remember thinking it's a great book, and there were a lot of good wisdom. But today we're talking about something that he said early on in the beginning of the book, which is we are often told that we are what we. In our world, since the printing press, it might be more accurate to say we are what we read. And I totally agree with this. However, I would add that in the modern era, we are what we consume. And by that, of course, social media algorithms. We are what we consume. So I always think of it as, where would I like to point my algorithm? Who do I want to become? Because whatever content you start consuming, the algorithms are programmed to give you more, faster, and better. So I'm sure you've noticed, if you click on something, then immediately your feed gets filled with that thing, whatever it is. If you're researching tennis, then all of a sudden all of your feeds will be filled with tennis stuff. And that's the algorithm basically beckoning you, inviting you to join that stream of content, because they have a lot of tennis content that they want to show you and monetize you with. So just beware that we are what we consume. So whatever you consume, you become more of. And that can be a good thing, a bad thing, a neutral thing. It just depends on what you want out of life and how you think and feel about it. In my personal opinion, it can be a really good thing. And specifically for learning skills and for mastery, things that we've talked about before. But just basically, what do you want to learn? Just start clicking around in that thing. If you want to learn a skill, if you're like, man, I always wish I would have learned guitar, open up a guitar YouTube channel and just start watching some videos. And then if you think of it this way, then the algorithms will actually help you. Instead of just dissipating all of your attention into wherever and suddenly being like, what did I do today? You can take control of the algorithms and harness them, and they're the most powerful technology that's ever been built so far. They are incredibly powerful, and you can use them to your advantage by selectively guiding your algorithm toward your goals. So if you want to become a master painter, or you want to have more joy in your life, or you want to have peace, or you want to be entertained or laugh or become an entrepreneur, like, these are all things that you can do with the assistance of the algorithm. The algorithm will speed that up. You can become more of whatever you want. So when Louis L'Amour wrote this, of course, I think it probably was maybe in the 70s or 80s, and he was talking about you are what you read. And that's still true too, right? If you look, there's an interesting thing that I've experienced. I spent a couple years just traveling the United States, living out of a vehicle basically with my partner. And one thing that we did for fun in cities all over the country was go to estate sales. And if you don't know, an estate sale is a sale that they hold usually after you die, but sometimes if you like go to live in a nursing home or something, For some reason, you're no longer able to be responsible for your things anymore. So they'll hire a company. A lot of times your family will hire a company to come in and basically sell off all your stuff. And first off, it's a great way to find great stuff, whether you're just into collecting or if you're more like in the Gary Vee kind of vein of like side hustle. It's a really great side hustle. I actually did quite well buying and flipping things because basically they're just liquidating everything in the house. They usually go through and look for things of particular value like jewelry or something like that. But everything else, there's just a fire sale on this person's possessions. So a few things happened from going to lots of estate sales. One, it was weird in the beginning. I felt strange being like, so this person just went to a nursing home or died recently, and now I'm like digging through their stuff. But eventually I realized, oh yeah, that's all there ever is. Like, eventually people are going to be digging through your stuff. Like, it made me relax, and I don't know if that's relaxing to everybody, but it's relaxing to me to realize that that's the way it goes for everybody. Like, all of our stuff doesn't matter after we die, so I'm sure there's a way of thinking that they are happy that somebody else gets to enjoy their things, or not. I don't know. But anyways, I got over that. And one thing that I really love, because I was learning about the side hustle of book flipping specifically, I got really into that because I thought it was something I could do while I was traveling, business that I could learn about and do. And it worked really well, actually. I didn't have the infrastructure to do it, to scale it up, but I definitely was very profitable in finding books. So basically, if you want to know about that, it's just you use Amazon to, you buy these books from wherever. If you can buy them at an estate sale, they're usually less than $1. Sometimes they're like pennies. You can just buy a whole bunch of books. I also did it at Goodwill surplus stores and everything. You can buy just like, they sell books by the inch. You bring it to the counter, and however many inches of books they sell, it's 50 cents an inch or something like that. Anyways, so you buy books for cheap, and then you send them into Amazon fulfillment, and they'll warehouse the books. They'll hold them all for you. You pay a tiny little fee for them to take care of it. You send them in. There's a bit of a process to it, but once you get them up there, then they just sell on Amazon like normal. You price them, and I've sold a lot of books and was very profitable. Like I said, I just didn't scale it up. Anyways, so I'd go to these houses, and I would see, you basically see people's lives in front of you. You're like, wow, this person was really into travel, or this person was in the military. So they have all these like uniforms and medals and stuff like that, or they're really into basketball. They have basketball cards, and it seems like this Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was their favorite player because they have a bunch of like trophies and pictures and autographs and stuff. You just get to see the essence of who we are. And a lot of times we'd be in and out in an hour. So you get a good glance at this person's entire lifetime of accumulated things. But my favorite part, of course, was the books, right? I went there because I was interested in the business model. I wanted to find books that were worth a lot of money. And by the way, I'll just tell you some personal experiences. I found books that I bought for like $1 or less, and some of them sold for 80. One of them sold, I think that was the highest. I sold one for 80, and it was this weird book about like building chimneys or something. But I scanned it on the Amazon app, and it said it was worth $80. So I scooped it up and took it home, listed it on Amazon, and it took maybe, I think, 6 months, but eventually sold for $80. So I made like $79 profit. It was really cool. It's a really cool business model. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments or whatever, and I'll help you with however far I got. I also know some people who do it too. But anyways, so you see a whole person's life represented on a bookshelf, right? You can see, okay, this person was an architect. They have all these books about architecture. I can see that they went to college and graduated in 1979. Looks like they had a distinguished career. There's all these like awards and pictures with professionals and all this stuff. But you see their whole life displayed in a bookshelf. And so what Louis L'Amour says here, that we are what we read, I just saw that played out to the fullest extent, which was people's entire lives. And I went to so many different estate sales and houses that I saw it, the patterns played over again and again. So I really believe this, that we are what we read. People who are into airplanes buy books about airplanes, and they subscribe to airplane magazines. And in the modern era, they follow airplane aviation Instagram pages, and they join aviation Facebook groups, and they sign up to aviation newsletters, and they have dreams of becoming a pilot someday. Like, we are what we read, and in the modern era, we are what we consume. So I guess one way to take that is just keep doing what you're doing. That's just the way things are. But I think a more actionable and positive way to take it is you can become whatever you want. If you want to be Louis L'Amour, then sign up to his fan club website and watch every interview that ever got recorded. I've never looked for any. I don't know if he did any recorded interviews, but if he did, watch every single thing he ever recorded. Bring the spirit of Louis L'Amour into your bones. Read this book. Read all the books that he wrote. And the more you do that, the more that you consume of Louis L'Amour, the more like him you will become. It will just start to become ingrained in you. If you read certain authors a lot, you will take on their mannerisms, their thoughts, their mindsets, their philosophies. And it's multiplied times 1,000 with social media because these algorithms are so good at just dialing into exactly what you respond to, and not only do they know what you want, and they're so perfectly tuned into that, but they also know what everybody wants. So they know that if you click on if you heart a picture of an airplane on Instagram, then they instantly know, okay, most people don't heart pictures of airplanes on Instagram. So this person just did, which means most people who heart a picture of a plane on Instagram 10 months later are interested in pilot lessons. So let's start gearing it up towards that. Now, I'm personifying an inanimate AI, right? But that's essentially how it works. It's not a real person thinking this, but it's the algorithm, the machine learning stuff that's coming out to the same outcome. So start to think ahead. Start to think, you know what? I do want to be a pilot someday. So I'm going to heart that picture of an airplane because I hope that the algorithm brings me more airplane stuff. I just want it to be in my bones. I want to know about what do pilots think? What are the books that every aspiring pilot reads? What are the philosophies and the words, the jargon that pilots use? How do I learn all the parts of an airplane? Where do I buy a blueprint for a Cessna or something just to get immersed in that world? And because of these algorithms now, it's set up so you can become more and more, and you don't have to do that much work. You used to have to seek out that stuff, but now it just comes to you infinitely. It just pours upon you. So as soon as you engage on any of the platforms, on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, you will get more and faster. So choose wisely what you consume, because it will change who you are. So make sure that who you are changing into is who you want to change into. Thanks for joining me for this first inaugural edition of Wisdom Wednesdays. We are what we consume, and I would highly recommend you check out Education of a Wandering Man. It's a very interesting book about a very interesting man who lived a very interesting life. I would have liked to see his estate sale bookshelf because I bet it was impressive. I remember he said something about, another favorite quote, maybe I'll share it later, is something to the effect of, no matter how old I get or what I do, I'll always have the ability to go on infinite adventures because I have books and stories. So I always love that. I'll look up the real quote later. But thanks for watching. If you have any other wise things to say, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next Wisdom Wednesday.